Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan faces impeachment and criminal charges after signing trilateral deals without legal authorization. From Global Peace International, by Era Kochig-Manujan, August 8, 2025. Pashinyan is Turkish agent and traitor to Armenia. According to reports, Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan is preparing to sign 3 major agreements during a trilateral meeting hosted by U.S. President Donald Trump, alongside Azerbaijani President Ilham Aliyev. These agreements reportedly include 1. Armenia's and Azerbaijan's joint withdrawal from the OSCE Minsk Group, 2. The establishment of AU.S. Armenia Infrastructure Consortium under Trump's TRIPP initiative, and 3. A new peace framework committing Armenia to negotiated terms with Azerbaijan. Under the Constitution of the Republic of Armenia, any such agreements, if signed unilaterally by the Prime Minister without parliamentary ratification or a national referendum, would be unconstitutional. If Pashinyan proceeds without following legal procedures, he could be subject to criminal liability, removal from office, and prosecution under Armenian law. Violations of the Armenian Constitution. Article 205 of the Armenian Constitution explicitly states, "Changes in the territory of the Republic of Armenia shall be resolved only through a referendum." Superscript 1. This means any agreement that involves the transfer, lease, or extraterritorial control of land, whether to Azerbaijan or to the United States for infrastructure purposes, requires approval by the Armenian people through a national vote. No Armenian official, including the Prime Minister, has the authority to bypass this requirement. Article 116 of the Constitution establishes that treaties relating to sovereignty, territorial integrity, national security, and the rights of citizens must be ratified by the National Assembly. Superscript 2. Unilaterally withdrawing from the OSCE Minsk Group or binding the nation to infrastructure or peace accords without legislative approval would violate this provision. Article 204 further emphasizes that any treaty which contradicts the Constitution shall not be ratified. Superscript 3. This means that even if Pashinyan signs an agreement, it will have no legal force if it violates constitutional safeguards, particularly those protecting national territory and sovereign authority. Criminal liability under Armenian law. If Pashinyan signs any of the 3 proposed agreements without constitutional and parliamentary authority, he may face criminal prosecution under multiple provisions of the Armenian Criminal Code. These include Article 309, Abuse of official power, which applies when an official exceeds their lawful authority in office. Article 390, Treason, which is defined as actions that knowingly compromise the sovereignty, territorial integrity, or national security of the Republic of Armenia. Article 301, Usurpation of state power, which criminalizes bypassing constitutional processes to exercise authority unlawfully. Article 300, Unconstitutional Acts, which targets those who attempt to alter the constitutional order of Armenia. Additionally, the National Assembly has the constitutional authority under Article 115 to initiate a vote of no confidence in the Prime Minister, should 1/3 of deputies support such a motion. International legal invalidity. Under international law, specifically, the Vienna Convention on the Law of Treaties, 1969, a treaty is not legally binding on a state if the person who signed it did so in violation of that state's constitutional law. In other words, if Pashinyan violates the Constitution of Armenia by signing these agreements, they would be void under both domestic and international law. Conclusion. Any attempt by Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan to sign the proposed agreements in Washington without parliamentary ratification or a national referendum would be unconstitutional and criminal. It would violate the very legal foundations of the Armenian state and the will of its people. The Prime Minister may be subject to removal from office, a vote of no confidence, and criminal prosecution under the Armenian Criminal Code. The Armenian people and their representatives must act decisively to defend the Constitution, preserve national sovereignty, and uphold the rule of law.